I want each of you to think of an experience that required your time, resources, and planning in order to achieve a specific outcome. Now, on that day of the experience, whether it be a work or class presentation like tonight, a sports match, a marathon, or even your wedding day, by show of hands, were any of you lucky enough to just show up and those expected outcomes were achieved? No?
No.
So, as expected, it's very unlikely, and the same goes for my topic today, which is planning a company meeting. So many departments within organizations have a need to plan company meetings. Now, I'm talking about larger scale meetings with tens to hundreds of employees at an off-site venue. Planning every single detail from the hotel to the meeting logistics to food and beverages, it's a daunting experience, a stressful experience, especially if it becomes yours and you're not a professional meeting planner. So the good news is we do have a solution for you, and that's to turn to the experts. In preparation for tonight, I had a chance to interview industry expert Nikki McLean from Carson Wagonlit Travel, or CWT. And Nikki shared the reality that no one has enough time in their day to do everything that they need to do. So by engaging the meeting professionals, you're allowing yourself more of your time to focus on the strategy and the content of the meeting, while the experts can focus on the logistics and the planning. So today, I'm here to persuade you to use the meeting professionals for your next big meeting. I'll use Johnson & Johnson as a successful example and highlight some of the benefits that they see that are translatable to you. In the agenda, you'll see that first I'll cover the problem. So companies run the risk of mismanaging their bigger meetings when the non-professionals handle it. The solution here is companies should engage the meeting professionals to effectively manage their meetings. In a future state, you can achieve those meeting outcomes that you're desiring to achieve. And then finally, we'll wrap up by talking about the role that you can play in solving this problem. So first, let's take a look at the problem, the meeting problem. So planning a company meeting, or any meeting, or even your wedding day, it's a complex undertaking that requires a lot of resources and their time. So the resources range from a sourcing specialist to a meeting planner, a web designer, on-site staff, the list goes on, and that's just naming a few of those roles. So if non-professionals like company personnel, like yourself, are managing this meeting on your own, then you have to play all of those roles. That's a lot. Now, these non-professionals, they also lack industry expertise and often don't know what to ask for when they're negotiating with the hotels or the various vendors. So, for example, they can miss out on some key savings opportunities like a free sleeping room, free meeting room, free parking, free internet, things that as non-professionals we don't know to ask for that. Now, according to Successful Meetings publication, a source for industry information, they're saying that companies should also shine a spotlight on the risk that's associated. Again, non-professionals likely are untrained in how to mitigate some of this risk. So the key here is to turn to the experts, because otherwise, from a contracting standpoint, if those terms and conditions aren't in place, then the company can encounter some risk, high cancellation fees, and legal liabilities. And from a cost standpoint, you'll see the costs go way up if you don't work with those preferred vendors. So now let's take a look at the solution. Companies should engage approved meeting professionals to plan their company meetings. It's across the industry, it's common practice for companies to offer to their employees an end-to-end meetings management solution. Industry expert Nikki, she describes this as a disciplined approach to managing all meeting and event activities with the focus of achieving measurable outcomes and delivering value in the form of savings, risk mitigation, and quality service. Now, the meeting professionals, through this solution, it'll ensure that you get those various resources that we just talked about, and they can help to execute those meetings. The meeting professionals, they have a lot of industry expertise and are certainly qualified to do this work for you. To validate this, industry research shows that in 2014, CWT, one of the leading companies within the industry, they deliver on average 5 to 23% savings for all of their clients from them adopting this solution. Now, from a risk standpoint, again, these meeting professionals, they're trained in contracting requirements. They'll make sure that those standard terms and conditions are implemented. And end of the day, they'll protect you and the company from risk. So by engaging them, this is taking some of the time off of our plate. They're doing a lot of the work for us, and we can plan this meeting with ease. So now let's look at the future state. It's the time to envision a successful future for all of your meetings. So a success story that I want to highlight is the meetings management solution in action for Johnson & Johnson's sales organization. Now, the annual sales conference has about 500 plus attendees that are attending, so it's a pretty big undertaking, and for company personnel to do this on their own could be a pretty overwhelming experience. So company personnel, they did engage CWT to plan and execute the meeting, end-to-end services. CWT handled it all. Now, the assigned meeting professionals, they were described as accountable, reliable, and really expert in what they were doing here. And on top of that, the meeting professionals consistently delivered 15% savings back to the company. And any of that risk that we heard of from before was all mitigated. So with this, engage the professionals and have that sense of ease that your meeting will happen. So as you can see, there's certainly benefits that you'll reap from adopting this solution. Outsourcing this meeting management model will ensure that the resources you need will now be servicing you. The meeting professionals will help to drive down the cost of that meeting, save you money, and deliver value back to the business. And you now can have some of your time back to focus on other responsibilities that are really important to you. The timing for our discussion today, I think, is on point as we look ahead into 2015. So industry research from American Express in the 2015 Global Meetings Forecast, it shows that business meetings will play a critical role in business fundamentals looking into next year. And they're projecting that there's going to be a positive trend within meeting budgets in 2015. So now is the time that we can get ahead of this industry curve and really execute our meetings with success. So thus, turning to the meeting professionals will help you to realize those benefits. You can rely on the experts to mitigate some of that risk. You can save time, you can save money, and most importantly, you can achieve those meeting outcomes. So to wrap this all up, in conclusion, we'll continue to see a need for meetings in 2015 and beyond. As we heard today, the problem is that companies often mismanage their meetings when they're handled by the non-professionals. And the solution, it's easy. Pick up the phone, send a quick email, engage those meeting professionals. You can count on consistent service, consistent value, and consistent meeting outcomes by adopting this solution. So now is the time for you to play a role in this problem, and I've listed up here the 5 action steps that I'd like each of you to adopt. So the first step is to determine your meeting schedule for 2015 and beyond. What does that calendar look like? Step 2, set clear objectives, benchmarks, and targets, and define what is success. And that's recommended by the Successful Meetings publication. Third, and most importantly, engage those meeting professionals. I've included their email address up there so you know where to reach them. Have a conversation with them to discuss what your meeting needs are for 2015 and align with them on what your expectations are. Step 4, start the meeting planning process and really have them take the lead while you focus on your core responsibilities. And finally, execute that meeting in 2015 and beyond with success. So thank you for your time today. I hope that you adopt this solution and continue to execute your meetings with ease. Thank you.